made himself of no reputation, became a servant, humbled himself, was obedient unto death. This is what God did for us. He gave everything for us. He loves us that much. Tonight, I want to tell you a story. A story that could be from your town. It could be your story. It begins with the shepherd family driving through town, searching for a house to deliver a Thanksgiving meal from their church.
This must be it, John. We're supposed to turn right on Maple Street.
Okay, dear.
Look at these houses.
Ugh, they're creepy.
People really live here?
Everyone lock your doors, now.
Can we go home?
Not until we deliver this food. Poor people get hungry too, you know.
Who are we looking for, Mom?
Well, it says here on the card that their name is Johnson. According to the city rescue mission, they're having a pretty tough time. They have a little girl with spina bifida.
Spina whatchamacallit?
That means you got a baby that's crippled.
And it says that Mrs. Johnson has been in bad health ever since the child was born. We sure have a lot
While
to
we're
do.
here,
I was afraid we'd find it.
let's pray before we go up. Dear Father, please help us to be a good testimony to these people and help us be thankful for all we have. Amen.
I'm waiting here and protecting the car.
We're all going to help with the food, Matt.
Toby, you carry the turkey.
Oh, Mom, it
Okay,
stinks out here.
People don't know how to keep themselves clean, dear. Boys, did you get all the groceries?
Got it. Mom, we're not gonna actually give him this blueberry pie, are we?
Yes, Matt. Now come on, kids.
If it smells like this out here, think what it's like inside. I'm gonna wait in the car.
Not in this neighborhood. Come on. Now remember your testimonies, kids.
Yeah, what you want?
Hello, sir. Hi. I'm John Shepherd, and this is my wife, Jeannie, and these are our kids. That's Toby, that's Matt, and that's Jessica back there. And we're from the God's Missionary Church, and we brought you some Thanksgiving Day cheer.
So,
So, we brought you some goodies from our kitchen to yours.
whatever you say.
So, where do you want us to put this stuff?
Right down the porch should be fine. Refrigerator ain't working.
Okay, put her over there, boys. Well, it was sure nice meeting you.
Oh, we'd love to have you visit our church sometime.
That'll be the day.
Well, you guys better head home.
John, the tracks.
Oh yeah, say, I have a little pamphlet here I'd like you to read. Maybe when you have a spare minute. It tells you about God's love and how he gave everything for you and me.
Mister, you live in a dream world.
What do you mean?
Ain't nobody in this entire universe that don't think about themselves first.
But why do you think we're here?
There's a good question, lady. Why exactly are you here?
Because I love you. I mean,
Well, lady, I'm flattered, but...
Sir, you better watch
guy's
this. It's my wife.
I didn't.
Listen,
I
folks,
didn't mean
I'm
it.
sorry. Thanks for the food. Good night.
Can you beat that?
I never. I've been so humiliated.
Let's get in the car. Toby, get away from that window.
Matt, where are you going?
You think I'm gonna leave our pie with that jerk?
Get in the car, Matthew.
The ingratitude.
Well, I guess you can't expect any better from people like that. Thanks to FDR, we got a whole generation of people who expect handouts for everything.
FDR. Wasn't he shot like way back in the 60s?
Way back, that was only 30 years ago. Besides, that was JFK.
Dad.
But he's another one of those liberals who got us into this mess. Tax and spend, tax and spend.
Dad!
What?
What will she eat when the turkey's gone?
What will who eat?
The little girl.
What little girl?
I saw her through the window. She's crippled and so thin. She looked cold too. What will she eat when the turkey's gone?
Don't worry about her, son. We have government programs for children like that.
But Toby couldn't stop worrying. All that evening and the next day, he kept wondering what would happen to the frail little girl he'd seen through the window. Several times he tried to talk to his father about her, but he assured him that she'd be taken care of. Toby wanted to believe his dad, but the idea occurred to him that nobody seemed to be taking care of her so far. There was only one person Toby could turn to now.
Lord, I've got a problem, and I don't know what to do. What would you do if you were here? Wait a minute. The verses I'm learning for the Christmas program say that you humbled yourself and became a servant. Lord, make me just like you.
Although Toby had committed himself to helping the little girl, he wasn't quite sure how to go about it. Since his father didn't see the need as he did, he decided to seek the advice of someone much older and wiser than himself, his older brother.
Maddie?
Toby, will you quit calling me that? Mom and Dad stopped that stuff like 5 years ago.
Okay, Matt, I'm sorry. Maddie?
What?
What's going to happen to that little girl?
Will you forget about it? We don't even know these people.
But Jesus does, and he cares about everybody.
That's exactly right, but you're not Jesus.
But I'm supposed to be like Jesus.
It's like talking to a brick wall.
I know. I'll take her my piggy bank.
What? You can't do that.
Why not?
Lots of reasons. How would you get there?
I'll walk.
You wouldn't make it by next Christmas.
Then I'll ride the bus.
You'd wind up in Phoenix or something. You don't even know how to ride the bus.
Do too.
Do not.
Do too.
How?
One time me and Mom rode the bus to the library.
How am I supposed to reason with a 2-year-old?
I am not 2 years old.
Well, you're sure acting like it. Now grow up and get with the program.
What do you mean?
Our government takes care of people like this.
Then they're not doing a very good job.
You're impossible.
Matt, you didn't even see that little girl. She needs help.
Why can't you just be a normal kid?
Big brother, if you really want to make a difference, sometimes you just gotta go ahead and be a little different.
Call in, Harriet. Maybe he stopped there on the way home from school.
That's the first place I checked.
I checked everywhere between here and the school playground.
He's not at the donut shop or the ball field, and none of the neighbors have seen him either.
John, we've got to call the police.
You're probably right.
Wait a minute. Is Toby's piggy bank gone?
What?
Why didn't I think of this before?
He's run away.
Can
Don't-
I have Toby's room?
Jessica!
Don't you see? Ever since we delivered that Thanksgiving meal, Toby's been babbling about that crippled kid.
What crippled kid?
You know, the one with the spina something?
Spina bifida?
Yeah, that's it. He said he was going to take her his money because she needed help.
Toby's the one who needs help.
Jessica, go see if Toby's piggy bank is gone.
Yes, ma'am.
Now don't worry, sweetheart. Toby's probably just out playing with some of his friends.
I don't know, Dad. He was pretty serious.
John, it's almost 5 o'clock, and it's going to be dark soon.
Dear, don't get yourself all worked up. Toby is going to be fine.
But he's only a child. My baby, in that part of town, after dark? Oh, John.
We'll find him, Mom.
Toby's piggy bank is gone.
Everyone in the car, now.
No time was wasted getting in the car. However, John was in such a hurry backing out of the garage that he backed right into a fire hydrant on the other side of the street.
My day!
Don't worry, dear. It's just a car. We need to find Toby.
Is it raining?
That is not rain, Jessica.
Whoa, look. The water's shooting 20 feet in the air.
How embarrassing.
My feet are all wet.
It's up to my ankles.
John, we've got to get going.
I'm trying to get going, dear, but the bumper must be stuck on that stupid fire hydrant.
Well, you don't have to take it out on me.
Dad, does it matter if the trunk is filling up with water?
How embarrassing.
My feet are all wet.
There's water all over the floor.
Jeannie, you drive. You two get out and help me push.
But I'll get soaked.
You're all wet anyway.
They finally got the car moving again, but not before everybody was sopping wet. The trunk wouldn't close, and the water inside the car was 4 inches deep. The ride across town seemed like it took forever. Even Jessica and Matt were getting a little worried. It was almost dark now.
I should have called the police before we left the house. What if he's been kidnapped?
Toby will be fine, Mom.
Just one more block and we'll be there.
I don't think I even told him I loved him this morning. What kind of mother am I anyways? This is all my fault.
You're a great mom.
And it's not your fault. If it's anybody's fault, it's mine.
What do you mean?
Well, last night, Toby kept trying to get my attention. But I was too busy preparing for next week's Sunday school lesson. And I kind of raised my voice a little.
You yelled, Dad.
Okay, I yelled. But if we ever find that precious little fella, I promise I'll never get upset with him again.
I think I see him.
Where?
Yeah, that's him skipping down the
Oh,
sidewalk.
thank the Lord.
Skipping? How do you like that? He ruins our car, makes me late for a deacon's meeting, and... Wait a minute. I've got an idea.
You all right, Dad?
I'm gonna teach that kid a lesson he will never forget.
What you gonna do?
I'm gonna sneak up behind him.
John, I wouldn't...
Jeannie, shh. Everyone, quiet. I wish I would have had my video camera. Stick 'em up, kid! Ow!
Dad!
Look at Toby run!
Are you all right?
Oh,
Are you okay?
ow. I'm fine.
Are you sure you're all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
Way to go, Dad.
Too bad you didn't have your video camera, huh?
Ha! Very funny.
I was trying to tell you that Toby's been taking self-defense lessons.
I'm fine. I was just trying to build up his confidence a little, yeah.
Well, you're doing an excellent job.
Wait, I think I can see him. Let's go.
Where?
Toby! It's
Toby!
me! Dad!
Toby! Oh, Toby! Oh, I'm so glad you're all right.
You won't believe what just happened.
What?
This huge, ugly, mean-looking guy just tried to attack me.
Toby, that was
Terrible, son!
I sure hope I didn't hurt him too badly.
Only his pride, dear.
Huh?
Never mind. Let's get in the car.
What's all this water in the car? And who left the trunk open?
Never mind. I'll explain everything when I get home.
place. After all, John's pride was at stake, and he couldn't do much talking with all the pain in his knee. He couldn't let his son know that he had handled him just fine. After a quiet supper, the family was gathered in the living room. John finally mustered the courage to have a talk with Toby. Most of all, to find out why he was out on the streets in a bad neighborhood when it was almost dark.
Toby, I want you to explain what you were doing out there all by yourself.
I went to see Tessie.
Well, who's Tessie?
She's Mrs. Johnson's little girl. She's really cute, Dad, and smart too. And she's not a baby like the card said. She just can't walk because she's got a hole in her back.
Toby, are you making this up?
No, it's true. In fact, sometimes she gets too much water in her head and the doctor has to drain it out.
Really?
Cross my heart. She's been in the hospital 11 times.
Poor thing.
How did you find all this out?
Tessie told me after I gave her my piggy bank.
You gave Tessie your piggy bank?
Yeah, so she'd be able to buy something after the turkey was gone.
Toby, you've got a soft heart just like your grandfather did.
Dad, I've been thinking, why can't we help the Johnsons?
What do you mean, help?
You know, find Mr. Johnson a job. And their house is a mess. Everything's broken. You can fix anything, Dad.
Son, it's not that simple. We don't even know these people.
And Mr. Johnson probably doesn't even have a car to get to work.
Couldn't you drive him?
Son, it's not quite that simple. I mean, these people are different than we are, and what you're suggesting would require a great deal of time and money.
And besides, they don't even know the basics of personal hygiene.
Personal what?
She means they're dirty.
Mom, I've been thinking about that. Since you're such a great housekeeper and all, couldn't you teach Tessie's mom to keep house and stuff?
You talk to him, John.
Well, what your mother is trying to say is that these people are different than we are. They have no breeding.
Breeding? You mean like Grandpa's cows?
So that's why it smells like a barn.
Son, we have to be careful of our testimony. These people have some very bad habits.
I see.
What is it, Toby?
Nothing.
What's wrong?
I was just thinking about the verses I have to say in the Christmas program.
Which verses?
The ones that say something about humbling ourselves and being like Jesus and forgetting our reputations.
That's in Philippians chapter 2.
I hope I'm as smart as you someday, Dad, and can understand what the Bible's really talking about. I guess I had it figured out all wrong.
It had been a long evening, and everybody was tired by the time they got home. Nobody even argued with Dad when he said to get ready for bed, and before long, everyone was sound asleep. Well, almost everyone. John couldn't forget Toby in Philippians chapter 2, and finally, about 2 a.m., he got out his Bible and started reading one scripture after another. Before long, he was in tears.
Lord, I have called myself a Christian for over 30 years, but I am such a hypocrite. You told us to love others just like you did when you were here. But my son Toby knows more about that than I do. Lord, you were spit on, insulted, tortured, and even killed. But I feel like I sacrificed because I had to deliver a turkey for the church. Lord, please help me to love others just like you did when you were here.
was serious about wanting God to change his heart. Tuesday, on his lunch break, he picked up several bags of groceries and went by the Johnsons to drop off the food. He couldn't get anyone to answer the door, so finally, John just walked in. The living room was completely dark except for the eerie light of a small TV that was blaring loudly. The floors were covered with trash and there were cockroaches everywhere. On a bare mattress lay a dirty, frail little girl about 5 years old. Her hair was long and matted, and she had on a large dirty t-shirt. Her feet were blue with cold. Mrs. Johnson was asleep on the mattress beside her daughter, and her husband, Pete, was sitting on the floor in front of the TV. John had never seen such human misery. That evening, he came back with his whole family. After giving Tessie some warm pajamas, John fixed the refrigerator while Jeannie prepared dinner. Matt, Jessica, and Toby started the long process of cleaning up the house. The next morning, John paid a visit to my office. At that time, Ebenezer Scrooge and I had a lot in common. In just 7 years, my company had grown from 1 employee to over 100. I was rich, frugal, and proud of it. Much as I hated to admit it, a major part of my company's success was due to the work of my senior engineer, John Shepard. Although I enjoyed kidding John about his religious beliefs, I suppose he was the closest thing I had to a friend.
Morning, Bob. You got a second?
Sure, John, come on in. Love this new design, it's perfect. Like I always say, you want a job done right, give it to John.
Yeah, thanks. Bob, I got something I want to ask you.
Shoot.
Well, since we moved into the new building, you spent a lot on custodial service.
Nobody's more aware of that than I am.
Well, maybe it's time we hired a full-time custodian.
Not a bad idea, John. You got somebody in mind? Dependable help is hard to find these days.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about.
Great, if he's okay by you, he's hired.
It's not that simple.
Huh?
Well, he's not dependable. He has absolutely no skill. And I can't think of a single positive thing to say about him. But I'm willing to stick on him like glue and make sure he follows through.
Are you serious?
I'm afraid so.
What's this guy to you?
Well, he's who I might be if not for the grace of God.
John, if it were anyone else, I'd laugh him out of the office. But, well, if hiring this guy is going to satisfy some religious whim of yours, be my guest.
Well, thank you, sir.
But I'm holding you responsible.
Yes, sir. You won't regret this. I hope. Oh, one more thing. About the budget. I worked one out for him.
You thought of everything, didn't you?
I mean, the salary may seem kind of steep, but he's got a lot of medical bills. And I'm prepared to take a 10% decrease in salary.
You'd do that? For some derelict?
Yes, the Lord has really convicted me of my sin.
I don't believe this. You spend more time in church than I do at home. You know what the other engineers call you? St. John.
Going to church doesn't make anybody a Christian. The only way to become God's child is to trust in Christ and receive God's free gift of salvation. And by God's grace, I have done that.
That's more like it. So what's all the hassle about?
Well, when Jesus was here, he gave everything he had to help others. His time, his money, and even his life. And he commands his followers to do the same, to love others just like he did.
John, if I ever saw that kind of Christian, might even become one myself. What great preacher's been filling your head with such notions?
No theologian, just a 12-year-old boy.
Well, about that pay cut. I think I can spring for this. I wouldn't want you to become a martyr. Not yet.
Well, thank you.
But remember, I'm holding you personally responsible for this new guy.
Yes, sir.
Finding Pete Johnson a job turned out to be the easy part. Teaching him the value of hard work was going to take a little more effort.
Good morning, Pete. Thought you might like some help shoveling off your driving walks.
Why? I ain't going nowhere.
You won't want the mailman to slip and fall. He might sue.
Oh no, I lose my Rolls Royce.
You got a real sense of humor there, Pete.
Yeah,
Well, we better get started. I brought an extra shovel just in case.
I ain't got no coat,
I brought an extra.
no gloves.
I brought some of them too.
I
brought a
don't
hat too.
suppose-
Hey, yeah. You need to be ready to start work on Monday. So I hired a guy from the custodial service to show us everything you need to know. I'll pick you up at 7:15 and
Whoa,
then we can...
whoa. 7:15?
Yeah, I'm always at the office by 7:30. The early bird gets the worm.
Yeah, well, I don't want no worms.
But the sunrise is the best part of the day.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know.
You've never seen a sunrise?
If God wanted me to see the sunrise, he'd have scheduled it at noon.
Anyways, I'll pick you up at 7:15.
Whatever you say, man. They shoot people at sunrise.
I got you some coveralls and work boots too. Next Saturday we can spend the afternoon at the landscaping company. They'll show us everything we need to know. Any questions?
Yeah, why are you doing this?
Well, because I'm a Christian.
Everybody who comes to my door says they're a Christian, but they just as soon as spit on me as look at me. Oh, they come to our house every Christmas and Thanksgiving, give us food, but they do it for us. They don't do it for us at all. They do it so they feel good inside. They ain't gonna miss what they give us anyway. But you and that kid of yours, Toby, are the first
forget
people
about
that...
it. Anyways, I know your wife isn't feeling good, so my wife and kids are gonna come by tomorrow and help with the housework. Oh, and I got a guy come by this afternoon to help fix the holes in your roof.
I don't have any money to pay for that.
Don't worry about that. He'll bill me. You can pay me back once you get your first paycheck.
Wow. Thanks, man.
Pete, did you ever think about working on your high school diploma?
No way, man. I already tried taking night classes.
What happened?
Well, you see, you gotta learn English. And me and English ain't got nothing in common.
I would have never guessed.
Huh?
Never mind. Anyways, it just so happens that I put myself through grad school by teaching bonehead English to college freshmen. As of this moment, you have a private tutor.
But John, I just ain't smart enough.
I'm not smart enough.
Well, if you ain't smart neither, How do you expect to teach me?
Twas the season to be jolly, but for the Shepherd family, it was the season for work. John's biggest job was getting Pete out of bed every morning. Jeannie picked up the children after school each day and headed for the Johnsons with a car loaded with food, brooms, mops, soap, and plenty of air freshener. They weren't going to have the time this year to make all the fancy baked goods they usually made, or to comb the malls for all those special gifts for each other. And yet, as the music of Christmas began to be heard everywhere, they felt more in the spirit of Christmas than they ever had before. I hadn't expected John's religious experiment to last much more than a week, but nearly 6 weeks had passed since John asked me to hire Pete, and I saw no signs of his giving up. What surprised me even more was the change I saw taking place in Pete Johnson, and it irritated me. I really don't know why. I suppose I'd always used the hypocrisy of Christians as an excuse for my own rejection of Christ. But here was a Christian who was willing to sacrifice a great deal in order to make a difference in one man's life. As long as I live, I'll never forget that cold, frosty December morning as I gazed out my office window at all that dreary, lifeless snow and ice. The realization suddenly hit me. The most desolate thing of all on that bleak winter's morn was my cold, cold heart.
Good morning, Bob. You said you wanted to see me?
Yeah, John, have a seat.
Okay.
You leaving town tomorrow?
No, we're gonna spend Christmas at home this year.
Oh, good. Good.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, no.
Maybe this is a bad time.
No, It's about Pete.
Oh, is there a problem?
No, quite the contrary. He's far exceeded my expectations. Oh, he's got a lot to learn. It's only been, 6 weeks? But I've never seen such a change in a guy's attitude. I gotta hand it to you. The first week you drug him in here, he moved slower than a turtle with 4 broken legs. But over the last week and a half or so, I've seen some light in those eyes of his. Haven't caught him sitting down on the job in 2 weeks. And he's showing some real initiative too.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you're pleased.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes, there is. Do you remember when I told you that if I ever saw a real Christian, I might want to become one myself? Well, I've seen one.
What do you mean?
It may surprise you to know that I grew up in a nice religious home, went to church every Sunday, read the Bible, but I bailed out long ago. I just couldn't believe a God that had everything would give everything to someone who deserved absolutely nothing. I've known hundreds of so-called Christians that live just as selfishly as I do. I've spent my whole proud life making money I can't take with me. But this Christmas begins a new life for me because I've seen God's love for the first time.
That's wonderful.
I accepted Christ last night, John, because I saw Jesus in you. No one who had ever seen the Johnsons' house before would have recognized it this Christmas Eve. From the gleaming lights in the crystal clean windows to the aroma of fresh-baked cinnamon rolls, nothing was quite the same. The Shepherd family, by unanimous vote, had agreed to go without presents for themselves this year. Instead, there was a heaping pile of presents under the beautiful tree in the Johnsons' living room. After a wonderful Christmas Eve dinner, Pete asked John if they could take a walk.
I can't believe all that's happened in the past few weeks.
God has been good, hasn't he?
Sure has. With all this food and proper clothing, Tessie ain't the same kid.
Tessie isn't the same kid.
She sure ain't. And that boy of yours, Toby, why, he puts a smile on everyone's face every time he walks through the door.
Yeah, my little buddy Toby.
And I feel like a man for the first time in my life. I got a good paying job and finally support my family.
Yeah, and I'm surprised how fast you're improving.
Yeah, Mr. Saunders says he even paid for all the night school I want to take. He's even talking about giving me a raise.
He's a great guy, isn't he?
Strange thing about it, at first I always took him for a Scrooge kind of guy, but now that I'm getting to know him more, he's reminding me more of you, actually.
Pete, have you thought any more about John 3:16?
Funny thing about it, I heard that verse quoted lots of times before you said it to me, but I ain't never met anybody who made me want to listen to it before.
Well, that's not me. That's God's Holy Spirit.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, so you're telling me that I'm the reason that Jesus came to this earth to die, to give everything for me?
Yes, and he wants to live inside of you.
Wow, imagine that. Christ inside me, Pete Johnson.
Pete, do you want to accept Christ?
As little children, we would dream of Christmas morn, of all the gifts and toys we knew that we'd find, but we never realized a baby born that blessed night gave us the greatest gift of our lives. We were the reason that he gave his life, and we were the reason that he suffered and died. To a world that was lost, he gave all he could give, to show us the reason to live.
As the years went by, we learned more about gifts, the giving of ourselves, and what that means. On a dark and cloudy day, a man hung crying in the rain, all because of love, all because of love. We are the reason that he gave his life. We are the reason that he suffered and died. To a world that was lost, he gave all he could give, to show us the reason to live. I finally found a reason for living. It's in giving everything
world that was lost, He came home.